Hi guys, so today is going to be a tricky one, but also requested by some of you, and that is how to approach minimalism with sentimental items. We as humans tend to put feelings and memories into inanimate objects, and that's normal, but it can also be kind of hard to get rid of those items because of those feelings and memories that we have with them. So today I'm going to tell you guys the couple tips that I use to approach this method. I recently just got rid of some childhood mementos. It was really hard for me, but I did overcome it, and I'm going to share with you how I did it. To start off, my number one tip would to be approach your sentimental decluttering with the idea that these are just objects, and really it's just the memory and feelings that you associate with them. And there is a way to kind of pull those feelings out of the item. Pretty much I have taken all of my childhood stuffed animals that I loved very dearly. I carried them around with me everywhere when I was a child, but I realized that, sitting up in my closet and collecting dust was not the best thing to do, especially because I'm trying to live this simple lifestyle. And so what I did was I took pictures of them and then I journaled them away into a little notebook, because after all, a notebook is a lot easier to store than bigger objects like that. That is one way you can approach your sentimental items, is by taking pictures and journaling. I'll come back to that idea a little bit later. So my next tip would be to give yourself a maximum amount of storage for your sentimental items. So in other words, a box. Now this isn't going to be like the final box that I use. This is just what I had right now. And right now I basically have all of my sentimental item stuff except a few things here and there around my room. The reason why I chose this method is because eventually I want to go travel for a while around the world. I'm trying to do at least a year, but I know in the back of my mind I can't get rid of this stuff. And to make it easy to give this box to my parents while I am traveling around the world. So if you have a family or a trustworthy friend that you can give this stuff to, sometimes just one box is a lot easier for them to store rather than objects like randomly given to them, because that way they can kind of keep it all together. You could put your name on it and you can ask them to put it up in a closet or an attic or something like that. It's all contained in one, and it also makes it really easy to store while you're at home. So in mine, I just have a little scrapbook here. I'm going to touch on that in a minute. I have some photos, and I also have, which the photos I still need to scrapbook. And then I also have this box here that my boyfriend made me a couple years ago, and I just keep all of our, not just stuff between me and him, but like physical objects, like childhood stuff like that. I have some jewelry, I have gifts, and that's what I use this little box for, to kind of keep all of that contained. And then that way it just fits right into this box like really easily, and it's all kind of organized as well. How to approach stuff that you were given from maybe a loved one that has passed on. So as an example, grandma's jewelry. Grandma decided to give you all of her jewelry because she figured that you would like it and you would use it. And yes, that's very nice. It's probably very meaningful to you, but having all that jewelry sit around, you kind of feel like you have a burden that you have to keep it. We feel obligated to keep stuff that loved ones have given to us because they're no longer with us, and that's completely understandable. So how I would approach this method is, let's say I do have all my grandmother's jewelry. I would probably keep my favorite piece, or maybe 1 to 2 pieces, maybe even keep one in my jewelry box and incorporate it into my everyday fashion. And by keeping that one favorite item, it kind of represents all of that jewelry that you were given, and you can finally pass it along once you get that favorite piece that you really like. And don't feel bad for pawning it and whatnot. Your grandma would be okay with it, trust me, unless she gives you specific directions not to pawn it. You can also pass it along to family members, give a couple to your children when they're a little bit older, but don't feel obligated to keep all of it. You can have that one piece that you can store into your box, and take some pictures of that jewelry before you give it away. We may have a couple sentimental items that we maybe stuff that we've made in the past. Like I have a couple art pieces that was hard for me to give up because I felt so accomplished that I made them. So again, let's go back to jewelry. Let's say you're a jewelry maker and you have quite a few pieces, but you're not wearing them. You feel proud that you made them. This is a moment where I would pass these along as gifts to friends and family, maybe even sell a couple of them and keep my favorite piece. I would also take this opportunity to use some of the sentimental items in my everyday life. Either I'm wearing it or looking at it, I hang it up on the wall, I'm using it as decoration, something along those lines. And also by giving it to friends and family members, it's in a way still in your life and you can still go over and see it or see them using it, and it still kind of feels like it's with you in a way, but you're not having to actually have it in your actual possession. My last tip for you would have to be taking pieces of the sentimental item that you have in memory of the actual object. It sounds kind of confusing. So my great-grandmother died a couple years back, and when I went over to her house, my parents told me that I can take whatever I want in the house, and I remember that she had these old church books. I don't know what those are called. I think there's like an actual name for them. It's like the little books that you read along and sing to in church. And I remember that she liked to go to church, and I liked the vintage look of these books because they were all faded and torn. So I decided to keep a big old stack of them, and for years I didn't use them. I didn't look at them. They sat under my bed and collected dust. I finally found a solution to that. Was I tore out a couple pieces of the book, so a couple of the pages, and I scrapbooked them into this little book that I have, because that way I still remembered that I had those books at one point, but now I just have a piece of it left with me in this book, and that way I can still in a way have the object but not actually have the full object. The scrapbook method that I have, again, this is a lot easier to store than having a bunch of papers scrambled everywhere. And this has to be your special book. Stuff that makes it into here is pretty special to you. So photos, tickets, stuff like that. I have prom tickets, I have pictures with my boyfriend, I have pictures with my friends when I was younger, and I want to address the movie ticket page. I have all of my favorite movies that I kept in here because I've seen a ton of movies with my boyfriend, but why keep the tickets of the movies that I didn't like? I kept the ones that I liked, and I don't want to go more than one page with movie tickets. We kind of don't really go see movies anymore. On occasion we do, but they just made it into the book as kind of memories that I have of being with my boyfriend. And I also made things easy to pull out of this book. I ever have to come across that, my boyfriend and I break up, I can remove that stuff very easily. So also keep that in mind if you do the little scrapbooking method. As of right now, that is how I keep my sentimental pictures and tickets and stuff like that. So those are all my tips for you. I really hope that helps. Again, our situations are all different, and as for items that you can't keep in the box, try to do the picture method, or go through maybe some old family photos that you have of that item. Maybe it's your dad's old car and your dad's passed away. At least you have that picture of your dad in that car with it. If you're not using it and you feel like it's a burden that you have to keep it and it's collecting dust and you feel guilty that you haven't used it, it's probably a sign that it's time to pass it along. So I hope these tips helped. If you guys have any specific situations that maybe I can give advice on, leave it down below, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!